No one's done more to expose the deep state than me. Not going to allow you to be misled.
What's up, guys? Your boy Benny. We have been looking forward to this day for a very long time. The true investigation and hearing on Donald Trump's assassination, the on-air execution that was clearly planned, and an environment that was created as a kill box. Yet we haven't gotten some of the testimonies for some of the most important people on that day. That day is a day that they want to forget. They want to deep six this thing and memory hole it. This is why it's practically banned for you to post photos of President Trump after his assassination attempt. But Dan Bongino, along with Eric Prince, professional snipers and SWAT team members on Capitol Hill, answering real questions from the members of Congress who've been doing the best in this investigation, like our friends Corey Mills and Eli Crane, along with Matt Gaetz and Andy Biggs of Arizona. And so Dan Bongino began by ripping effectively the bark off of this entire thing and explaining how politicized the Secret Service has become, what an embarrassment it is to be an agent there, and how scared he is for any president or any protectee given this modern day Secret Service. Check out Dan Bongino at the start of this important hearing on the President Trump assassination attempt.
Thanks for your time. Thank you for doing this. Sound okay? Everybody hear me back there? Yeah. Great. Fantastic. Listen, let's just get right to the point. This was an apocalyptic security failure. A man was murdered in front of his family. 3 people were shot on live television, including President Trump in the head, who came within 2 millimeters of having his head explode on national television in front of millions of people. There's no sugarcoating it. It's no time for BS. Unfortunately, as Congressman Crane and Mills both indicated, the story seems to have been vanquished to the phantom zone of media coverage. It's amazing how we're still talking about JFK's assassination, but nobody seems to want to talk about President Trump being shot in the head on national television, despite the fact that we have no answers. So I have 5 minutes, so I want to keep it quick, and I want to make 3 points. I worked in the Secret Service for 12 years. I loved it. I worked with some really amazing men and women who gave everything. I mean, a couple of them literally gave everything. I know guys who've gotten bizarre diseases overseas, like chikungunya fever and protection operations. Everybody gave a little bit of something in the Secret Service, and it was a real honor to say I was part of it. But they have 3 institutional problems, I believe, in the macro will help us get to the bottom of how this Secret Service apocalyptic failure won't happen again. First, they have a technology problem. The joke in the Secret Service, which is sadly no longer funny when I was there, and it wasn't funny then either, is they rely on yesterday's technology tomorrow. Think about that. Yesterday's technology tomorrow. Everything from computer systems that waste agents' times, filling out time and attendance records they were doing, to Congressman Crane and I discussing the fact that they only implemented slings, a technology as old as the wheel, about, 5 or 6 years into my time in the Secret Service, which is embarrassing. The weaponry was old. Everything was old. These are things I would have talked about sooner if they didn't create a security crisis, and I obviously didn't want to air them publicly. Now you're seeing what happens when you don't have a drone up at a site you could have bought for $39.99 on Amazon. Second, another adage in the Secret Service, you've heard even the new acting director discuss, is the more with less approach. There is no more with less. There's less with less, okay? The Secret Service more with less approach only works if you produce more. That's how capitalism works. You produce a flat screen TV that was probably 20 years ago, $10,000. It's $200 at Walmart now. They produce a better TV with less. That's not what the Secret Service did. They produced less with more. They were given more money and produced less. A 20-year-old criminal outsmarted them on a $40 drone technology piece of device. You're telling me that's more with less? That's disgusting. That's nothing with less. That's less with more. Their budget went up. You guys know, you're appropriators. You know that. Third, and I'll wrap it up with this, turn it over to Mr. Prince. The investigative mission, the Secret Service, that they're telling you they need to make them better agents is total crap. That's garbage. Their agents are talented, smart people. They can figure out how to do protection without running out cheap $20 counterfeit notes at 7-Eleven on a Friday night while the president's getting shot in the head. How is it we have a DEA, we have an FBI, we have TIGTA, the IRS, CBP, and 1,000 other entities with a $6 trillion budget, which I know a lot of you guys have been fighting against this grotesque spending. $3 billion goes to the Secret Service, and we're wasting time running out counterfeit notes. It's a serious problem, counterfeiting. Granted, it might be a legacy item. They started doing counterfeiting. That's not what we do now. Get rid of the investigative mission, turn it over to other people, let them do what they do best and should do best. Protection. Thanks a lot for your time. Thank you for doing this. Thanks to the panelists as well and everyone attending. Appreciate it.
Dan Bongino, obviously a expert witness, as he has worked with the Secret Service for decades, as he has been a law enforcement agent or official for decades and knows the agency in and out, and also has a lot of close sources there. Dan Bongino saying that the Secret Service is making political decisions in who and how they protect. And this is a really, really scary realization that the Secret Service may or may not be delivering protection for people based on what they agree with politically about those candidates. And it's like really scary time to be in America with a politicized Secret Service of all places. Watch.
It's like, what should we think about imputing malice at a point in which Donald Trump, one of the most threatened people on the planet Earth, is having to endure these denials and this culture of limited protection while you're seeing other details, beefed up substantially?
I think, and I don't think I put this out yet, but I'll put it out there now. When I was there, it was definitely not a political enterprise. It just wasn't. I never once, working for President Clinton, Bush, and Obama, had anyone even remotely implicate a political motive for any decision whatsoever. However, from the commentary directed at some of the agents in charge of the Donald Trump detail, which I have heard about, clearly, it appears that for the first time in American history, we have a Secret Service that is making decisions that may not be all political, but may have a political tinge to them. So what you're saying, I would love to say, Congressman, that's the craziest thing I've ever heard. But I tell you with a pure heart, and I'm being absolutely candid, I have no skin in this game. I don't work there anymore. I am not their PR guy. I run my own business. I absolutely believe Donald Trump and an enhanced security posture he should have had would have made him look more presidential, would have facilitated the logistical operation of him traveling. I think they were concerned about optics and making him look like a big shot or whatever, word you want to throw out there. And they were making some of these decisions based purely on grade school level politics.
I don't want to believe that, but I didn't want to believe it with the FBI either.
Corey Mills is somebody who we traveled to the Butler assassination site with, and he's a fantastic operator and a veteran who's been in theaters of war for this country and has a huge tactical background. Is just absolutely spectacular, an interesting person who has sniper experience in the field. Corey Mills asking a sniper who served on that day what truly happened. Like, what were the failures on the ground? He wasn't expecting this response. The list goes on and on. Watch.
I just want to move on briefly with the time. Mr. Schaefer, I just need you to kind of confirm the no's. And when I say confirm the no's, you'll understand. Didn't take the communication platform that was given by local forces, correct?
That's correct.
Didn't take the surveillance drone offered by local forces, is that correct?
That is correct.
Didn't show up for the morning briefing to ensure that last-minute planning could be accounted for.
That is correct.
Didn't take any necessary measures to talk to the Kubota dealer, who was 400 yards away to the 12 o'clock direct line of sight, to even see whether or not they could gain access to that rooftop or talk to the owner.
That is correct.
Did not access the water tower, which has the highest vantage point, and provide oversight that would have also looked at the AGR building.
That is correct.
I'm looking at all this and I'm noting a lot of no's, of things that didn't happen. And unfortunately, because we've allowed this to go on for weeks and weeks, we're now going to be faced with the fact that they're going to be memorializing all these documents to reflect July 9, July 10, July 11, dotting I's, crossing T's that wasn't actually going forward. Now, I want to ask you something, Mr. Prince, because you know this all too well about counterterrorism operations.
Eli Crane is another one of those Navy SEAL snipers who serves in Congress. There aren't enough of them. It'd be great to have a Congress filled with Navy SEALs. Eli Crane asking Dan Bongino about who's actually in charge right now of the Secret Service. Like, is the president safe? The answers are chilling.
Mr. Bongino, in your opinion, is the Secret Service in a better spot today with Director Rowe in charge?
No, it's worse. And sadly, I'm glad this is all being recorded, because when something else happens, and I hope it doesn't, I pray to my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, that I'm wrong. That you play this and go, look, that guy was crazy. You think this is the last incident, you're out of your mind. We have seen these incidents over and over. We saw the Georgia grenade incident with President Bush. They overtook the magnetometers. The Secret Service leadership in charge now with the exact same people. Exact same. Can you imagine a C-suite at a company that makes widgets? We find out that there's a design defect. The widget explodes and kills 10 people, and the CTO gets a promotion to CEO. You understand that's what happened here, correct? These are the same people. Kim Cheadle, the director, wasn't even fired. She was allowed to resign. She'll go get some cushy job somewhere, and her deputy, who is one of the guys behind these stupid waste of time things like agents wearing red ties on the detail. Because this actually happened, by the way. These people will tell you this on the road if you get the right people. He was concerned about the tie color of the agents on the detail because it seemed to imply he supported President Trump. Congressman Biggs wearing a red tie. You're wearing a semi-red tie. It has nothing to do with anything. This is the kind of stuff the Secret Service was actually wasting their time with while withholding CSU counter surveillance assets and counter sniper assets from probably the most threatened man on earth. If you can explain it, good luck, because that's not the agency I worked for.
And finally, the question about the destruction of evidence, the destruction of the body, the cremation of the body of the assassin, and the elimination of all biological evidence from the scene. This is such an important question. Why would they do this? How is this possible? This was sort of the closing question to the panel there of security experts, and quite a tough one. Like it defies comprehension as to why you would take a presidential assassin crime scene and then destroy all evidence, including but not limited to incinerating it. Here are the dark responses.
Just in a quick yes or no, do you find it odd that literally only days after the attempted assassination on President Donald J. Trump, while the roof was too sloped to place individuals for counter-sniper operations, that it wasn't too sloped to a roof for the FBI to go ahead and tamper, in my opinion, with evidence by washing the roof off that may have had significant evidence on it? Do you find that odd?
Yes, I do, Congress.
Mr. Prince?
Yeah, I certainly don't realize, I don't understand what the rush was to wash a roof.
Mr. Bongino?
No doubt.
Do we also find it odd that, as of recent, one of our colleagues, Representative Higgins, had uncovered the fact that the body of Matthew Crooks had not only been released and cremated, but that the coroner who's responsible for releasing the body had no knowledge of it? Mr. Schaefer?
Yes, absolutely.
Mr. Prince?
Sounds like destruction of evidence.
Mr. Bongino?
Given the gravity of what happened, absolutely.
Do you also find it odd that no ballistics, no toxicology report, no confidence in the actual, proof of who it was who took the shot has been provided to date? And also, just to follow on to that, how quickly the crime scene at the home was actually released before any evidence had been obtained and released? Mr. Schaefer?
In total analysis of your question, I think it warrants maybe a little more than a yes or no. I absolutely find that to be troubling. I also find that there were multiple friendlies that engaged the shooter that day, and no report has been given back to that local agency that was involved in that information. I feel that's critical.
Mr. Prince?
Yeah, again, there's a lot of things that just smell around the entire thing, and like I said in my opening statement, only the disinfectants of transparency will clean this up. And so covering it up and hiding only compounds an already a really bad look on the federal government.
Mr. Bongino?
Yeah, I'll say again, given the gravity of the situation, extremely odd.
Do we find it odd that in addition to a 20-year-old not having a social media presence and being scrubbed, that in addition to having the knowledge on how to create sophisticated explosive devices with a multi-channel transmitter, that there was also leaked evidence or leaked information on regards to 3 encrypted accounts? Do you find it odd that these encrypted accounts, which are overseas, has not been discussed and or talked about at any point? Mr. Schaefer.
Absolutely, Congress.
Mr. Prince.
In the same way that Congress passed a law in 1992 that within 25 years, all things related to the Kennedy assassination were supposed to be declassified and released, why cover this up? Why, again, what is being covered and what is being covered up and why? And it makes a bad situation even worse.
Mr. Bongino.